I just thought I'd pop in for a moment and talk a little bit about sock blanks. So I started dyeing them, and so we started selling them, and we have Knittisons coming in that pick them up and they have no clue what to do with them or how they work or why, what's the whole purpose of it. So I thought I would just kind of explain a little bit to you. These two are the same colorway. It's called Jack Rose, and this one is dyed in a skein. So when you knit with this, it's going to, the colors are not going to, it's not going to knit from coral down to green. You're not going to have a gradient effect with this. It's going to be some coral, and then some orange, and then some green, and then a lot of green, and then, so it's not going to gradiate for you if you buy it in the hank. But if you buy the sock blank, the colors are dyed in the same order, but the difference is going to be whatever you're knitting is going to turn out in this same order. It's going to knit in this same order. So if you're knitting, let's say you're knitting a top or a shawl, something like this even. If you're knitting this and you have you need 2 skeins of yarn, 1 solid and 1 variegated, or even if it's 2 solids, you could use this. Use a contrasting color for your second stripe, and then as the stripes go, they will fade they'll gradiate from one to the other as you knit it. But then you think, well, how do I get it out of the sock blank and into a way that I can knit from it? Well, number one, you can just knit from the sock blank. Now, when you pull it from the sock blank, it's going to be kinky because it's just like if you've unraveled something you've knitted or crocheted, it's going to be kinky. You see that? It's going to be like that. And you can just pull it and knit from it as you go. You don't have to wind it or anything. You can just knit from this, just from the sock blank. If you don't like the kinkiness of this, you can wind it into a hank, and then, or better yet, soak this, get it wet, wind it onto a Swift, and let it dry on the Swift. So that'll pull the kinks out of it and smooth it out for you. But really, it's not a big deal to knit it from the sock blank itself. Okay, so this is a Musselburgh hat that I started last year. There are a lot of things that we've started last year that are still in the needles, right? So as you can see, I dyed it. It was a sock blank, and I dyed it kind of in a rainbow order, and now going up and then going back. So now we're going back towards the greens this way, and we'll end up with red. Is what's left of the skein. So you see the outside is red. So this is how much I have left. But I've wound this on my winder into a cake, and I'm just pulling from the center and knitting it. And as you can see, it's knitting in the same order it was dyed. It looks exactly the same. So if that's the effect that you want, then a sock blank is a great option, because it's going to, whatever you see on that sock blank, whatever order the colors are in, that's the order that that your item is going to knit up at. When you knit from the cake, the yarn's going to be kinky, and it's going to stay kinky. It's not going to smooth out as you knit it or whatever. It's going to make a fabric that's somewhat bumpy. Can you see? It's kind of textured. And it's not as smooth. It's a little more, it looks uneven. But this will block out. When you block this item, those stitches are just going to smooth out. So you can knit with the kinky yarn. It is going to smooth out. It's going to turn out just fine. If the kinky yarn bothers you, and it does some people, then take the time to put it on a Swift, wet the sock blank, unwind it onto a Swift, and let it dry on the Swift, and it'll pull those kinks out. But seriously, guys, just knit from the sock blank or put it in a cake. Super easy and a lot of fun. One of the things you have to do when you're taking a sock blank out is find the end that unravels. Because it's just like, one is kind of like the cast on edge, and the other end is the live stitches edge. So if you try to unravel the cast on edge, you'll figure it out. You'll start to be able to unravel it, but it's not going to just kind of come off easily like this is doing now. So you'll be able to tell pretty quickly if you're unraveling the correct end. So it really doesn't give you the option to start from either end. There's definitely an end that you are going to have to begin from. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing a sock blank. If you want it to go from red to purple instead of purple to red, just check and see which end is the live stitches if you can. All right, we're almost done here. We're into the green. It's starting to flop around a little bit, but you can see how easy it is to just wind it for that. Now, this is not going to take the kinks out. So it's still going to be kinky when you knit from it, as you saw with my hat yarn. It was still pretty kinky, and when you knit it, it's going to look kind of bumpy. I'll show you in a second here. Okay. It's going to look kind of bumpy when you knit with it. So you can see how cool that is? So the good thing is you can't, when you're knitting from the sock blank, you can't determine which end to start from. But if you put it in a cake, you can pull from the center and start with the coral color, or you can pull from the outside and start with the green. So you do have that option after you put it into a cake. So I hope this helps. These sock blanks are the same put up, in other words, the same yardage, the same fiber content as our Fox sock, which is 75 merino, 25% nylon, superwash merino and nylon. 462 yards, I believe. So it's the same. So the skein and the sock blank have the same yardage, the same weight, the same fiber content, everything. It's the same. The only difference is this is going to knit up in little sections or maybe stripe a little bit, where this is going to just gradiate from one to the other end, just like it's knit up. So I hope that helps. I hope that clarifies things for you a little bit. I'll show you some of the other ones we have. Now this one is not a gradient. This is just, I don't know if you can see the colors. There's some greens and purples, and it's just kind of I don't know what you would call it, a variegated, but not really. Here's a lighter version of it. I'm just calling these one of a kind because I was playing around with dyes and colors. So it's not really a gradient, it's just fun colors. This one is a gradient. So you can see this one's going to go from orange to like a green to teal, and then the center is orange again. So this one is another one that starts with one color, goes to the middle, and then goes back to the same color. This one's called Muted Rainbow. And then we have one called Over the Rainbow, and this one just goes from red, orange, yellow, you know, the rainbow colors, just from one end to the other. It doesn't go back again. These are also great, like if you wanted to use this to knit a pair of socks, it probably wouldn't be exactly the same, but if you split it in half where the colors start to go back the other way, you could knit a pair of socks with this and they would be pretty much the same colors in the same order. So I hope this helps. Get some sock blanks, play around with them. They're a lot of fun. They really are. And they are on our website under Fox Sock. See you soon. Hope you enjoyed this.